What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail. So, I was watching, I don't know if it was Mediocre Tutorials or Poor Man's Podcast. Uh, do um a, a reaction video to Jordan Peterson and Andrew Schultz. And they were talking about power and greatness, where people admire greatness and power is just people who try to emulate greatness by getting in a particular position, right? And usually when you try to emulate greatness, that's more prone to being corrupt. And I thought about it in the sense of America, because they was talking about competency also. How America has a thing where, with all of these gender dynamics, where there's an attack on competence or efficiency, of an effectiveness. But the thing about it is, that goes with the greatness versus power conversation, is America has always had a war on competence. See, I remember they have this clip about on Undisputed where Shannon Sharpe is talking to Skip Bayless and talking about the history of America. They're talking about race. It's not necessarily going to be a race issue, but it is. And how this country, the reason for slavery was either because you couldn't do it or you didn't want to do it. And I've talked about this before, where this country was built on people who were incompetent wanting to take the credit and the wealth from competent people, because America was just fine. The Native Americans was just fine. Us black people, we were just fine in Africa. So, to come from England or, Europe in general, and come here and not want to actually build a nation, but want somebody to, but you want to kill people to steal a nation and enslave people to build a nation, you're not competent. You know what I'm saying? That's not being competent. That's being lazy, to say the least. And then, you fast forward that part of this country's war on competence was, creating a wealth gap so competent people that don't look like white people in America, you have all of these adversities and obstacles to jump over. Whether it's because when you're a kid, race and class, and some people that say gender have an issue with your education. You're not going to get a competent education because of that. You're not going to get a competent policing because of in your neighborhood because of this. You're not going to get competent, how can I say, competent customer service, a competent renting, or leasing. It's always going to be a scam. And people are preying on the fact that America has this caste system and this tier system, and at the top of it are people, quote unquote, powerful people who actually ruined, all institutions' competence for most people. So, and now when people go, oh, the country's changing, we're losing the country's this, the country's that. It's like, well, you had a war on drugs, and it was incompetent. A war in the Middle East, incompetent. You see the American budget and debt, incompetent. The rationale to let this debt keep ballooning, and the rationale that created in the first place, incompetent. You got the blind leading the blind. And we don't really want to deal with the fact that, this country hasn't really done anything good. And people will go, yes, it is America. America is the greatest country. if you consider yourself the greatest country and you've done nothing good, like we consider itself a Christian nation, but if America was a person, America would be first class ticket to hell in their death, right? But on top of that, when America did some good things, every good thing you can name that America did has blood on its hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has blood on its hands. And I'm not saying it has blood on its hands prior to doing the good things. I'm talking about even the foundation for the good thing that they were doing. That individual specific thing has blood on its hands. So it has something attached to it that even though it's good, it came from a bad place. So the rationale about that is this: when your good deeds have blood on their hands, then you have to be incompetent. Because did it need the blood on it? Did it actually need the blood to make it work? Did you need all of these negative things to actually make this to create ingenuity? Did you need murder to create ingenuity? Did you need, genocide to create creativity? Like, no, you don't. All these systems and all these things put in place. That's why, even when we talk about the algorithms and how the people creating algorithms in some way, shape, or form, they have their own bias, so they create bias in the algorithms. We can't even competently, you can't even competently make an algorithm because of the American ideology. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't take other people into consideration. You can't take other factors into consideration because you only see it one way. And then when you go out in public, people are penalized as they were talking about for being competent, for being efficient, for being effective. Because now all of a sudden being competent and efficient, effective is, you know what? I see that you are competent, efficient, and effective. So what I need to do is dumb you down or hold you back and get these people who are incompetent, inefficient, and ineffective, since we can't get them ahead of you, we're just going to create more of these people than you. So the war on competence is there are far more incompetent Americans than competent ones. And all of these, things in the tier and caste system just reward incompetence. That's this country was founded by incompetent men. People don't want to say that, but that's what it was. And, oh, well, they weren't as bad as Stalin, or they weren't bad as Mussolini, or they wasn't bad as Hitler. Yeah, actually they were. And you're incompetent for thinking that. They weren't as bad as Leopold. Actually they were. They were all in the same ballpark. But you tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die. Try and catch y'all on the next one. Peace.